UFC 317, Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira just ended, and this is going to be my full card post-fight. We are going to discuss every single fight on the card. Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Kara France, Joshua Van versus Brandon Royval, Renato Moicano versus Beneil Dariush. We're going to talk about every fight on the card, including every single prelim as well. If you guys enjoy these videos, do me a favor, like the video and subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Anyway, let's jump right into the card. First fight of the night. We have Diniz versus Alvin Hines, the people's main event. Listen, this was a decent fight. Alvin Hines came out to fight. I mean, he came out, he was swinging wild and crazy early. He was getting touched up, though. He got one takedown. Diniz was able to scramble right back up. And then was getting just smashed with like multiple left hooks that rocked him, busted up Alvin Hines in the first round. I mean, he was bloodied and battered. Hines was like rushing in, overextending with big shots, getting hurt, getting tagged with counter shots from Diniz. And it was a clear first round for Diniz. Second round was just more of the first round. Hines rushing in, throwing big shots, getting busted up. I'm surprised he didn't get finished. He ate some big shots, and Diniz started to chop his legs as well. But Hines just kept pressing forward. This was his UFC debut on short notice, stepping in for one of the Taffa brothers. And he was trying to make something happen. You could tell he came to win. He didn't just show up for a check and another opportunity at the UFC. He came to win. And he was rushing in and getting tagged. And I mean, he was bloodied. He was battered. He looked like he'd been in a car wreck. But he was still coming forward. And by the end of the second round, you could tell Diniz started to slow down. The stamina started to wane. And then the third round, Diniz kind of was completely gassed out. I think there's a chance Hines might have found a finish, and he's going to be kicking himself because with like 2 minutes to go, he accidentally eye-poked Diniz. As Diniz is just backing up, completely gassed out. And Hines is running at him full force like he's been doing for the last 2 rounds. And he eye-pokes him and gives Diniz like a 2-minute breather. And then Diniz came back out, was able to land a couple shots. Still lost the round. But, man, I bet you Hines is kicking himself for that eye poke. Because other than that, I think he could have potentially found a finish. It wasn't a guarantee by any means. But I think he could have potentially found a finish in that third round, which would have been absolutely insane. But essentially, Diniz was a superior striker. Hines, I believe, only got one takedown and was in the first round. And then after that, didn't really mix it in enough, which he should have. Because look what Marcin Tybura did to Diniz. So Hines loses via unanimous decision. Renato Diniz gets it done. I believe all 3 judges had it 29-28, but I don't 100% remember. Next fight on the card. We have Niko Price versus Jacobe Smith. I thought it was Jacobe Smith. Jacobe Smith, I mean, within 30 seconds, he had tagged Niko Price and then ragdolled him to the ground. All within 30 seconds. It looked like it was going to be an easy, quick TKO finish in the first round, which is what I predicted. And then somehow Niko Price just survives. I mean, he's getting brutally hammer fist. Smith is just smashing him with hammer fist. And Niko eventually finds his way back to his feet and starts slopping up a storm. Gets hurt with a nasty jab right at the end of the round, like kind of gets dropped by like, he's like slopping around. I don't even know how to describe it. Niko Price is just lunging in, slopping around. And then Jacobe Smith is like, bink, and drops Niko Price at the end of the round, basically right before the bell. So clear win for Jacobe Smith in the first round. Second round, man, it was looking like Jacobe Smith was starting to gas out a bit, and Price was starting to get a little gritty and land a little bit. But then Smith just ragdolled him to the ground. Beat him up a little bit on the ground. Niko Price is trying to like scramble at one point. He gave up his back, and Smith was landing a couple ground and pound shots, back shots dead. And then eventually Price went back to his back on the ground and then got back to his knees again. And Jacobe Smith just latched up a rear naked choke in the second round and choked him out cold. Well, didn't choke him out cold. Choked him out. Niko Price forced the tap. I mean, this fight, there's really not a whole lot to analyze here. Niko Price, it's time for him to retire. They fed him to Jacobe Smith so Jacobe Smith could go out there and dominate him. I'm surprised he made it out of the first round. So that's a moral victory for Niko Price. Jacobe Smith got a little bit of experience in there against a gritty guy like Niko Price. But, man, watching Price take all that damage, it's actually kind of sad. But Smith was clearly the faster fighter. He was clearly the stronger fighter. He was clearly the better wrestler. He was clearly the better striker overall. Had more power. I mean, had all the benefits. Youth advantage. And he gets it done. Finishes him via rear naked choke. Snatched. One thing I will say, Jacobe Smith snatched up that rear naked choke super quick. Like, had his back. I don't even think he had the hooks in. and like jumped on the rear naked choke and latched in the hooks as he was latching up the rear naked choke. So he gets it done over Niko Price. Second round rear naked choke. Next fight on the card, we have Terrence McKinney versus Vyacheslav Borshchev. I mean, this fight lasted 55 seconds. Terrence McKinney won via submission, guillotine, mounted guillotine. Essentially, Borshchev threw a kick. Terrence McKinney caught it, took him down. Had him in like a, I think it was like an anaconda or a Darcy started to look for. And then Borshchev was like defending. Next thing you know, McKinney's in mount with a guillotine. And, I mean, it was tight, too. It was super tight. They had a good angle on it. Arm was just pressed right under the chin of Borshchev. And he had no... He tried to kick his legs. He desperately and frantically tried to get away from Terrence McKinney like a woman in a hotel room with Conor McGregor. But to no avail. He had to tap out. Terrence McKinney, man, against some of these... I don't want to say... I guess lower-level guys. Some of these, like, mid-tier, lower-level guys, Terrence McKinney will absolutely dominate and starch. It's when he gets that little bit of a step up, like a Sadikov or, you know, one of the Bonfin brothers, I think, Gabriel Bonfin. No, it's not Gabriel Bonfin, is it? Maybe it is Gabriel Bonfin. I can't think of it. It seems like that's when he starts to falter. But a guy like Borshchev, I expected this. I think I picked McKinney by first round TKO, but we knew McKinney had the grappling advantage. We know McKinney's a really fast starter. We know he's a good finisher. And, man, 55 seconds, mounted guillotine. I mean, think about how quickly that can happen. I mean, that's insane. To go from, all right, you ready? To he's literally in a mounted guillotine and Vyacheslav Borshchev is tapping after he's frantically trying to escape and get away. So good win from Terrence McKinney. Again, it's one of those fights where I don't think there's a whole lot to take away from it, but McKinney getting a little bit more experience. He was a hyped up prospect at one point, suffered some losses, trading wins and losses, and now he gets back on the... I think he actually won his last fight now that I think about it. He's won a couple fights in a row now, right? Let me actually look that. Yeah, he's won 2 fights in a row, back-to-back finishes, and he gets it done over Vyacheslav Borshchev. Next fight on the card, Viviane Araujo versus Tracy Cortez and her fake eyelashes. I mean, Cortez just basically dominated her everywhere. Out-grappled her, controlled her, beat her up a little bit on the feet. Araujo was like pressuring and landing some shots, but then Cortez would take her down. I think in the second round, Araujo pulled a guillotine when she was having a little bit of success, kind of closing the distance and landing some shots. She pulls a guillotine, gets beaten up. Third round actually really annoyed me because Cortez took her down with ease and Araujo was just hanging on bottom, like trying to stall out the fight. And then Cortez was actually landing some good ground and pound, some good elbows, some good punches. And like Araujo literally did nothing from bottom. And then like towards the end of the fight, she's like shaking her head and like complaining. Like, do something, you 38-year-old bum. I mean, it actually annoyed me. I don't know if it annoyed anyone else. She was like complaining. I don't even know necessarily what she was complaining about. I'm assuming she was complaining, oh, Cortez is just holding me here. Maybe it was just frustration. But it rubbed me the wrong way considering she was getting smashed with ground and pound in the third round. It wasn't like she was close to being finished. But there were some, like, you know, ground and pound sequences from Cortez where I'm like, okay, we might be leading towards the finish here shortly. But basically, Araujo's just too old, not strong enough, doesn't have the jiu-jitsu, doesn't have the striking, and loses to Tracy Cortez. So now, you know, they're saying Tracy Cortez, one of the best in the world. She's beating Araujo, who's almost 40 years old. And, I mean, at least Cortez didn't lose a fake eyelash this fight. So, yeah, Cortez gets it done. Not really a whole lot to say about that fight. But, yeah, Cortez was clearly the superior fighter and some much-needed experience for Tracy Cortez. All right, next fight. We have Hyder Amil versus Jose Miguel Delgado. Was I pronouncing this wrong before? Delgado? I think I was saying Delgado. No, maybe it is Delgado. Yeah, it is. I don't know. It's too late. It's almost 4 o'clock in the morning. I knew this could happen, man. Hyder Amil came out, landed a couple heavy low kicks. Delgado. No, it's not Delgado. Delgado. I think I've been saying this wrong the entire time. I don't know why. I just looked at the last name and just been brutally mispronouncing it. Chael Sonnen style. Anyway, Jose Miguel Delgado ended up getting him down. Gets thrown to the ground, but scrambles immediately back up. Hyder Amil took him down. He scrambles right back up. And then Amil's trying to close the distance. And in the clinch, or in close range, I think it was borderline a clinch, Delgado lands a nasty knee right up the middle, slumps Hyder Amil, follows up with some shots. But, man, Amil was out. Amil complained afterwards. I mean, he was clearly out after the knee up the middle. And I knew this could happen, man. I went back and forth. I was like, I've doubted Hyder Amil so many times. Then he pulls off a win. But at the end of the day, you know, Delgado is much faster, good finishing ability. And basically, Amil just walked right into a big shot. I mean, well, he didn't even walk into a shot, really, honestly. I'm oversimplifying it here. He was just getting wild and crazy, trying to make it a war. He thought he had a granite chin. And Delgado just threw that knee right up the middle, slumped him out cold, man. Brutal finish, great win. And I can't wait to see what Jose does in the division in the future. So, not really much to say about this fight. Hyder Amil was getting a decent bit of hype because he was in a bunch of exciting fights. I thought he lost his last fight. Came out here. You get wild and crazy against a guy who's really fast and has good striking and has finishing ability, you're going to end up slumped out cold. Picture perfect knee from Delgado. Gets it done and finishes Hyder Amil. Next fight on the card, we have Jack Hermansson versus Gregory Rodrigues. This was a brutal first round KO from Gregory Rodrigues. Listen, this ended in the last minute of the first round. Jack Hermansson was putting on a masterclass, was chopping the legs, was landing good body kicks, was moving well, was circling well. He was landing, he wasn't landing that many punches, but he was landing some, and he was landing a lot of kicks. And it looked like, okay, Gregory Rodrigues, you know, he has one round of cardio. We saw that in the Jarrett Cannonier fight. He's thrown a couple big, heavy shots, and Jack Hermansson shells up well. And it was looking like the writing was on the wall. I was already ready to take a victory lap. I'm like, yeah, I got Jack Hermansson right here. And then, boom, Gregory Rodrigues lunges in with a nasty left hook and puts Jack Hermansson down bad. It was an immediate, brutal, slumped him out cold left hook. And Herb Dean can't get in there quick enough. He can't get in there quick enough. There's a brutal ground and pound hammer fist afterwards. It was sad to see, man. It was really sad to see. Hermansson was down for a while. A lot of people were worried, like, dude, is this dude dead or something? I mean, it was really a scary moment. I really hate seeing moments like this because, like, man, I don't want to see something that crazy happen in the UFC. On a big fight card, it will leave a stain on the sport forever. Plus, obviously, you don't want to see that happen to somebody. I wish Gregory Rodrigues wouldn't have followed up, but it's all kind of muscle memory. The ref wasn't there. Herb Dean, there was a lot of criticism of Herb, even from me on my live stream, but watching it back, like he did sprint in there and start grabbing him around the waist, and he just wasn't able to get there quick enough. But, man, Gregory Rodrigues gets it done. I still think Jack Hermansson's the better fighter. Rodrigues is just a unit, man. He's just an absolute unit. And he pressured him and eventually found that left hook. That right hand of Jack Hermansson kept dropping. It was kept going, kept getting low. And you could see a couple times, and I was even mentioning on my live stream, like, man, if Rodrigues lands one of these shots, and he eventually just got that left hand and just put Jack Hermansson to sleep. So good win from Gregory Rodrigues. I think Jack Hermansson is like sneaky good. People underrate him. He's a very good fighter. How shit is Joe Pyfer, man? How shit is salty Joe Pyfer is what I want to know. He couldn't do what Gregory Rodrigues did? I would actually like to see Gregory Rodrigues, Joe Pyfer next. Am I crazy for thinking that? I just thought of that. But yeah, Gregory Rodrigues gets it done. Brutal KO. Thank God Jack Hermansson's okay and has his health. They apparently monitored him at the arena and he was fine. I don't know if they have scans at the arena or what. But yeah, Jack Hermansson's fine. Gregory Rodrigues gets a brutal first round KO. Next fight on the card. Opening up the pay-per-view main card, we have Payton Talbott versus Felipe Lima. This is one of those matchups where, like, you had the edgy hardcores being like, yeah, man. Felipe Lima's so damn good, bro. Look what he did to Naimov, man. He's going to beat Payton Talbott, bro. Payton Talbott brutally exposed him. Now, I was wrong as well. I picked Felipe Lima. I thought this was going to be a close fight. It was kind of a close fight. Most people had it 1-1 going into the third round. I actually had it 2-0 for Talbot going into the third round. First round, both guys were landing shots. Lima, I thought, was landing the better shots. And then he started looking to grapple, and he basically got reversed. Ends up on bottom. Talbot eventually lets him up. Lands a couple good ground and pound shots. Controls him for a bit. Eventually later, he gets back up, and then Talbot's looking to grapple, gets reversed, and gets taken down and controlled for a bit. It was a close first round. Could have went either way, but I had it for Payton Talbot. Second round, Lima's doing okay on the feet. Talbot's pressuring him heavily, looking for good shots and landing good shots and walking him down. And Lima's landing decent shots, And it seems like, he's just trying to grapple anyway. And he just shoots on takedowns and basically is just getting stuffed on takedowns and then beaten up. And then Lima got a late takedown and almost took the back of Payton Talbott, but wasn't able to get the hooks in, got shooken off the top, and then ended up on bottom, and then Talbott ended up getting in full mount to end the second round. So clear second round for Talbott. Third round was clear Talbott as well. Talbott was walking him down, beating him up. Lima had one good double leg like early where he got him down, like laced up the legs. It looked like he was going to get some control time, but he never got off any damage at all. And then Talbott, I can't remember how they ended up there. I'm trying to think. I can't remember. I guess he maybe reversed the position, or Talbott got a takedown and towards the end of the round ended up having the mount as well. And Lima was like scrambling and they ended up in like the 69 position. Talbott's got his face in Lima's ass. Lima's got his face up Talbott's ass. And I think it ended that way. And Talbott was like landing body shots as he's sitting on Lima's face. And people were like, yeah, man. There's always the homosexual jokes about Payton Talbott. They're like, man, Talbott's got Lima right where he wants him. Got him right where he wants him. But yeah, a lot of people doubted Payton Talbott because he lost to Honey Barcelos. And the commentary team was kind of glazing Talbott a bit. Like, man, he's improved so much. Honey Barcelos is a good fighter. He's old, but he's good. Look, he just beat Cody Garbrandt. Now, Cody Garbrandt's washed. But I do think Talbott has worked on the grappling, but I think this still isn't the test. Lima is kind of small for bantamweight, to be quite honest. And Talbott was just able to really impose his will. He was strong in the grappling exchanges. And the striking was on point. And Lima had low fight IQ. He was landing decent shots on the feet. And instead of continuing to try to use his striking, he was worried about the power. Even his corner was saying, look, trust your striking. Trust your striking. And Lima kept initiating the grappling and ended up in bad positions on bottom. So good comeback win from Talbott. A lot of people were kind of writing his obituary, spitting on his grave, dancing on his grave a bit like, yeah, man, you lost to Honey Barcelos. Now you're taking on this prospect. It really was the edgy hardcore. It's like, yeah, man, you don't know nothing about that Felipe Lima. You don't know nothing about him, man. He came in the UFC, beat Naimov. Was it Naimov he beat? Now I feel like I'm misspeaking. Was it Naimov or am I smoking crack? It was Naimov, right? Yeah, it was Naimov, and then he beat Miles Johns. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't smoking crack. But yeah, I think this was a good bounce-back performance from Payton Talbott. I still think he's a legit, future contender. I'm not going to say contender just yet. Striking looks really good. He just has to kind of shore up the grappling. I don't think this is the fight that proves, oh, man, his grappling's amazing. He's improved it so much, but he's still very young, and he can still work on the grappling. He can build back, and I think eventually he will be a top 15 ranked bantamweight. All right, next fight on the card. We have Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. I got to be honest, I enjoyed this fight. But, man, did both these guys look like shit. I mean, there's no other way to say it. They both look slow, lethargic, old. I know they are old. But Dariush essentially dominated this entire fight in every aspect, except at the tail end of the first round, he got dropped badly with the right hand. That's Moicano's only moment in this entire fight. Now, if you've been watching this channel at all, I think Renato Moicano is criminally overrated. He's kind of got the right-wing grifter gimmick. He's got Ariel on his side. He's like, I got Bitcoin. And he's got the whole, I can't afford to lose gimmick. He's actually kind of shit. He beat up a bunch of kind of scrubby guys. I think BSD would have won it had the doctor not stopped it. People thought I was crazy for saying that. And, how is he going to beat Dariush? He can't take down Dariush. He's not going to out-grapple Dariush. Dariush has the better striking, and that's exactly what happened in this fight. First round, Dariush dominating him with the kicks. Smashing head kicks. They weren't really landing, but they were landing on the guard. Was brutalizing the legs of Moicano, landing good body shots as well. Took Moicano off his feet with a leg kick in the first round. Then there was a scary moment where because Dariush was kicking through the legs. He was slamming these kicks home. And he threw one and he kind of stumbled and fell. And then he didn't throw leg kicks again for another 30 seconds, minute, something like that. And I was wondering okay, is that leg kind of hurt? But it seemed like it was fine. Dariush was landing a couple good shots as well on the feet with his hands as well, touching up Moicano a bit. And then right at the end, man, there was Moicano clinched up a little bit looking for takedowns, but never really got close or really shot heavily for a takedown in the first round. Right at the end, picture perfect right hand lands right on the jaw of Dariush, puts him down bad. Moicano follows him down, tries to get the back, but Dariush is blocking Moicano from being able to take his back and get in an advantageous position. And then eventually Dariush works back to his feet. So I thought Moicano stole the first round just because he was so close to potentially getting that finish. But then after that, Dariush pressured Moicano in the second round. Moicano pulled guard and then essentially got dominated after that. I mean, Dariush never stopped grappling. Moicano would get back to his feet. Dariush would ragdoll him back down to the ground, beat him up. Moicano, I think, had closed guard. It was good ground and pound. At one point, Dariush was looking for an arm triangle. And then the third round, they were both gassed, lethargic, slow as hell, old as hell, no cardio. And essentially, Moicano was pressuring and not throwing anything. And Dariush was just like peppering him up with kicks and, beating him up. And I think he got a takedown in the third round as well, but never really got like extreme control time. And then Moicano really embarrassed himself. I know people are, oh, money Moicano, man, Bitcoin, blah, 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 like right wingers, blah, 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 blah. Moicano, after not throwing for the entire third round, knowing that he's losing the fight, then shoots on a double leg just to stall it out against the fence with 10 seconds left instead of actually trying to throw. So Moicano's been criminally overrated for a long time. The bums who said, man, Moicano's more dangerous than Armin are the biggest scrubs in the sport. They should be embarrassed of themselves thinking Moicano's more dangerous against Islam than Armin Tsarukyan. What an embarrassment you are. And Dariush gets it done. Dariush is old, slow, stuck in the mud, but Moicano's way worse. So Dariush gets it done, wins via unanimous decision. I believe all three judges had it 29-28, giving Moicano the first round because of one right hand. And that's essentially all Moicano did the entirety of the fight. I don't remember of any other decent moment from Moicano. So the best thing he did was in the third round, he didn't accept position on bottom. So he did that in the second round. He said, I'm not going to do it in the third round. Plus, Dariush was completely gassed as well. But Dariush gets it done, man. It's just crazy that like people were like acting like Moicano was like a top elite lightweight. It's just laughable now after watching this Beneil Dariush performance. I'm glad I stuck with the Beneil Dariush pick. I picked Dariush in January as well. He gets it done at UFC 317. Anyway, next fight on the card. Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. Fight of the night. Absolute banger. Crazy, wild, insane fight. I mean, these guys, I can't even recap it all because it was so insane. So I thought Joshua Van, taking it on short notice, coming in against the most experienced opponent he could ever, or he's ever fought. I thought, this is a lot. He's probably bitten off more than he could chew. Thank God Manel Kopp is a pull-out merchant little bitch, okay? Thank God Manel Kopp is a pull-out merchant because we got arguably the fight of the year. I maybe wouldn't go that far. I like Merab Umar, Bilal JDM. This is right up there. This is right up there, man. This was a great fight. First round, Van was kind of slow, didn't really throw anything for the first minute. Royval just kept putting the jab out there over and over and over again. But then once Van started opening up, man, he was countering with the right hand, tagging Royval. They were clearly the bigger shots. Stumbled Royval a little bit. It was a close first round, but I scored it for Van. Second round, it looked like Van was starting to slow down. They're both tagging each other, landing crazy shots. Every time they get in close, Van's ripping to the body with good shots. Van was getting the better of, in tight or clinch up. They did clinch up. He was getting the better of that. But Royval at distance is like chopping at the legs and pumping the jab and then throwing the left straight right behind it and just tagging Van. And it seems like Van is slowing down, man. Royval was tagging him with like good combinations, like even some power combinations, and Van just kept eating them, man. Just kept eating them, and it seemed like, okay, Van's starting to slow down. He bit off more than he could chew. He's getting beat up a bit. Then the tail end of the second round, he starts kind of coming back a little bit and landing a couple good shots. And I still scored the second round for Royval, but it was a very, very competitive second round. This fight was, I was like, man, this is going to be a hard fight to score. And then the third round was absolutely insane. It seemed like there was like multiple momentum shifts. I can't remember. I think Royval seemed like he was out ahead a little bit. And then it was like Van was out ahead a little bit. And then it was Royval was out ahead a little bit. And I thought Royval was going to edge it. Like as the fight clock was coming down, I'm like, okay, Royval's going to edge it. And in the last like 15, maybe 10 seconds of the third round, it seemed like Royval, like he knew he was maybe a little bit ahead and he wanted to put a stamp on it. So he's like bum rushing Van. and Van catches him. I can't remember. I think it was a right hook because the right hook was landing all night from Van. It was essentially Royval being a little bit more active with less powerful shots rushing in, and Van was countering with the right hook all night. Van catches him with a right hook and drops Royval badly with like 5 seconds to go, hurts him badly, follows him down, starts looking for the finish. And I really do believe that was the shot that won Joshua Van this fight. I really do believe that. I thought Royval was probably going to get the decision 2-1, 29-28, and I thought he was slightly out ahead, but there's no way you can give anybody but Joshua Van the third round after dropping him with that shot. So great performance from Joshua Van, crazy young prospect, comes in on short notice against the number 1 guy in the division and beats him via decision in an absolute dogfight. And it is absolutely insane. At one point, Dana White was considering getting rid of the flyweight division because it wasn't exciting enough. And there's still people saying, man, who cares about flyweight? Who cares about these small guys? This was a great fight. Absolute great fight. Great experience earned by Joshua Van. He actually has a good win now, unlike Manel Kopp, who, his best wins, who aren't even against good opponents. He cheated to get those wins. Asu Amabayev as well as Bruno Silva are his best wins. And Joshua Van's getting a title shot. They brought him in the cage after Pantoja beat Kai Kara France in the co-main event, which we're going to talk about in a second. And for once, I have to say, guys, like doesn't it feel good seeing something fall into place for a change? Like, Joshua Van deserves the title shot. He stepped in against Royval. He beat Royval. He should be the number 1 contender. And the UFC is just going to make that fight. That's the fight to make, and the UFC is going to make it. Isn't it great? We're not like, oh, yeah, man, this other guy has more star power. Let's throw him in there instead. It feels really, really great that for all intents and purposes, it seems like we're going to get the champion versus the number 1 contender. It feels amazing. It feels amazing. I can't wait. Pantoja versus Joshua Van is going to be a fucking heater. I favor Pantoja. We'll talk about him in a second. But great performance from Joshua Van. Striking looked unbelievable. Didn't really get to test the grappling at all. There was no grappling exchanges really in this fight. In close, it was crazy. It was like every time they clinched up or got in tight, it was like Van was just spamming the same buttons on a controller because he was just ripping to the body. And I really do think that also had an impact on Royval. I mean, those body shots were nasty from Van. And also, I love that Van acknowledged, or at least it seemed like he acknowledged that he lost the second round, because he came out in that third round and he was looking for a kill. And he really needed that because Royval won the first round. So great win from Joshua Van. Incredible performance on short notice and a great story and a great number 1 contender. And I can't wait to see him fight Alexandre Pantoja. Anyway, co-main event. Speaking of Alexandre Pantoja, we have Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Kara France. Man, Alexandre Pantoja, third round rear naked choke, just like I dialed it up. This might be, I'm a casual, boys. This might be my worst pick in channel history. I don't know why. I just thought Pantoja's taking a lot of damage, and Kai Kara France has really good takedown defense, and he has good power. And this was a worst pick. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is the most memeable pick. I can't believe I picked Kai Kara France in this fight. I just, it is what it is. Pantoja dominated him. It started to look like it was going to get bad. It never got bad. All that sticking your tongue out just to get dominated, man. First round, basically Pantoja sprinted at him, was throwing good combinations, caught him with a good shot, took him down. They were in like a weird position where Pantoja was like seated up against the fence, and then Kai Kara France was kind of like sitting in his lap. And man, France tried to elevate and tried to get up and tried to scramble up, and Pantoja just wouldn't let him out of his clutches, eventually gets the body triangle and dominates him the entire round. Kai Kara tried to scramble a bit, almost ends up in an arm triangle, and then the end of the round ends up in mount. Pantoja was just like flowing with his BJJ all over him, and Kai Kara France had nothing to offer. Second round, Pantoja chopping at the legs, starting to look for takedowns, gets a takedown, gets a little bit of control time with no damage and never got close to a submission, and then Kai Kara France gets back up. And Pantoja's looking a little bit tired. And I'm like, wait a second. And then I think about Joshua Van and how much I want to see him against Pantoja. And I'm like, wait a gosh darn second. The MMA gods don't give us anything good. I'm like, is Kai Kara France about to come back and win this fight? And then we're going to have to watch Pantoja, Kai Kara France 2 instead of Joshua Van getting a title shot after a performance like that against Royval in the featured fight. But luckily, Pantoja really doesn't absorb any damage. I mean, Kai Kara landed a couple good shots. Second round, he landed a good knee at the end of the second round as well. And Kai Kara France never really got off the ground in the second round, so I still gave Pantoja the second round, but I'm like, wait a second. It's starting to look like Pantoja's fading, but sometimes he looks like that. Third round, comes right out, ends up in another sequence, like clinches up with him, ends up like getting his back, and then drags him back down almost the same way he did in the first round, where Kai Kara's like trying to get out of his clutches, but Pantoja just takes his back. And the next thing you know, Pantoja's latching up a rear naked choke. Kai Kara France is like trying to fight the hand and trying to fight the hand and trying to fight the hand. And eventually he just can't fight it anymore. He has to tap out. Pantoja doesn't get enough respect, guys. It's really actually sickening me. In the first round, people were booing Pantoja for grappling Kai Kara France. Pantoja is one of the most exciting fighters on the entire roster. I know that sounds crazy, and I know he's had some performances where he's really leaned heavily on his grappling, but he's constantly looking for a finish. I don't know how you cannot enjoy Pantoja. I really don't get it. And, like, I know Pantoja went out there and dominated Kai Kara France and made him look like he didn't even belong in there, but Kai Kara France is a very, very good fighter. A very, very good fighter. So this was an impressive performance. I'm really looking forward to seeing Pantoja versus Van. I suspect Pantoja will win. I don't trust Van's grappling. We haven't really seen him fight an elite level grappler who's trying to impose their will on the ground. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Van may KO Pantoja to become one of the youngest UFC champions of all time. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, Kai Kara France couldn't get off anything. Even in the second round when he was stuffing takedowns after he scrambled up after the first takedown, Kai Kara France was terrified on the feet. He couldn't let anything go because he was too worried about the takedown, because you give one takedown to Pantoja, he gets the body lock, he gets your back, you're done. You're not getting out of that position. If he gets your back, you are not getting away. Okay? And I tweeted this out earlier tonight as well. Pantoja is the flyweight GOAT. I know Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, has a lot of great wins and whatnot. The division was super underdeveloped at that point in time. There was no doubt in my mind that Pantoja is better than Mighty Mouse. I think Pantoja is the GOAT at flyweight. Give him the respect he deserves. I don't feel like enough fans are giving him the respect. The fact that he just lunges forward like a video game character and just lands big shots and then gets a hold of you and just ragdolls you to the ground and looks to like submit you in any way possible. It's just beautiful to watch, man. I can't wait to see him fight Van. Low key, if he beats Van and Merab's still the champion, I want Pantoja to go up and fight Merab. I wonder if he could submit Merab. I think he'd probably gas out and Merab would win. But man, Merab is so spastic. He might find himself in a bad position to get subbed by Pantoja. But I don't think Merab would tap. He would be in the deepest rear naked choke ever. He would not tap. But if anyone can beat Merab, it's Pantoja. It would be Umar or Pantoja, essentially. So I'd love to see that fight eventually, but I'm really looking forward to the Van matchup because Pantoja does leave his chin out there. You get a good counter striker with good boxing and good power, which I thought Kai Kara France was. You might be able to get Pantoja out of there. He's due to lose. He's getting up there in age, lower weight class. Speed means a lot. Maybe it's Van's title for the taking, but I don't know. I don't think so. I'm not picking against Pantoja ever again. At this point, unless he really starts to look washed, I'm not picking against him ever again. So I'm picking Pantoja against Van. Great performance. Kai Kara France had nothing. Nothing. Really had nothing at all. Didn't land any shots. Was getting taken down basically at will. I mean, he tried his damnedest, man. He tried his damnedest, but there's levels to this game, and Pantoja is just too damn good. He gets it done via third round rear naked choke. Next fight, we have the main event of UFC 317. Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. I already did a full breakdown of this, about 20 minutes long, on my channel. If you care to go check that out, I'll link it down in the description, but I'll give you a quick breakdown here. Ilia Topuria flatline KO'd Charles Oliveira in the first round and didn't take any damage. I mean, it lasted 2 minutes and 27 seconds. Ilia Topuria took no damage, took a couple leg kicks. That's the extent of the damage that Topuria landed. Charles Oliveira fought a fight to win. I mean, he got dirty. He tried to really pressure Topuria and cause him to make a mistake. Topuria super defensively responsible, landing big shots. Charles looks to clinch up, looks for a takedown. Topuria ends up on top because Charles is trying to trip him. Ilia's a very good grappler. Ends up on top, lands a couple ground and passes guard, lands a couple ground and pound shots. Eventually, Oliveira starts scrambling for a leg lock. Topuria gets back up, starts kicking the legs. Eventually, Charles gets back up again, starts kind of lunging forward again, looking kind of for a clinch. Topuria pumping him with a jab, ends up jabbing to the body, jabbing upstairs, and I think backs up a little bit, throws another jab, and then a picture-perfect right hand starches Charles Oliveira out cold. But as he's frozen and he's about to fall backwards, Topuria just loads up on a left hand, hits him with a nasty left hook, slumps Oliveira out cold, laying flat down on the ground like he's in a coffin, and then Ilia Topuria follows up with a couple brutal ground and pound hammer fist to win the lightweight title. This is the performance Topuria needed. You know, this is really, the UFC's really gotten behind him. A lot of the MMA media is anointing Topuria as the next megastar. I don't believe he's like Conor McGregor famous by any means yet, but there's no doubt he's one of the biggest names in the UFC right now. And this was the type of performance he needed. Anything less than this, and I know that sounds crazy, was going to be a little bit disappointing. Like, he went to a hard-fought decision win against Charles Oliveira. People would be disappointed. Now they could say, look, Ilia Topuria said he's going to KO him in the first round, and he did. And that's what he went out there and did. I mean, we all saw this coming, though. You know, I know people are getting a little bit over crazy about the Topuria hype train and get a little salacious. Oh, he's the GOAT. Oh, he's pound for pound number one. We all saw this coming. In every single fight, Charles Oliveira gets clipped and hurt. Every single fight, whether it's Gaethje, whether it's Chandler, whether it's Dustin Poirier, whether it's Chandler the second time as well, both times against Chandler. Topuria has brutal one-punch KO power, nasty boxing, and super defensively responsible. We all saw this coming. I thought it would happen in the second round. It happened in the first round, which is still super impressive. But at the end of the day, I think we have to pump the brakes a little bit on acting like this is some supernatural win. But I'll tell you what this fight made me want. It made me want Ilia Topuria Islam. Before I was like, I don't really care. I want Islam versus JDM. I like that. I like Topuria versus some of the lightweights. Man, I want Topuria versus Islam bad now. I think it's a close fight. Right now, I would slightly lean Islam. But man, Topuria's boxing is unbelievable. There's no doubt he could clip Islam and put him away. There's no doubt about that. But Islam, man, his grappling is unbelievable. He's one of the best strikers in the UFC as well. He doesn't have the power Topuria has. That is a dream matchup right now. It looks like they're probably going to do Topuria Patty. They brought Patty in the cage afterwards. Dana then complained about it afterwards. He's like, man, are you guys actually promoting fights around here? You guys actually promoting fights? That should have never happened. Acting like he's not going to use it for the promo when he books Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett later this year, which is probably going to be December. If it doesn't happen this year, I'm actually going to be pissed. Let me put it this way. If Ilia Topuria doesn't defend his title in another time this year, or not another time, if he doesn't defend the lightweight title this year, I'm going to be disappointed. He should definitely fight again. I don't want a champion that's going to fight one time. But it should be Arman Tsarukyan. I think that's the most dangerous opponent for Ilia Topuria. I don't like, after Ilia won and got the belt, I don't remember exactly when it was, they showed Arman in the crowd, which is fine. They showed Patty in the crowd, which is fine. They showed Justin Gaethje's bitch ass in the crowd. And I like Justin Gaethje. I know that sounds crazy what I just said. Dude saying, I'm going to retire if I don't get a title shot. I'm on a one-fight win streak, man. I beat Rafael Vaziva on short notice. Like, dude, go retire. Paddy Pimblett deserved this shot more than Charles Oliveira. So, he deserves it more than you. Arman, Dana saying, oh, well, he missed weight. That's why he didn't fight. Arman said he had a back injury. The truth probably is somewhere in between. I tend not to believe Dana that much, but there's been a lot of speculation on that for a while now. Dana's saying that. But it's probably going to be, let's not fool ourselves. Topuria versus Patty is a mega fight in the lightweight division. The UFC needs stars. The UFC needs big fights. And this one is 3 years in the making. Dude's throwing hand sanitizer at Topuria 3 years ago. I'll tell you this, though. I think Topuria is going to brutalize Paddy Pimblett. I've been saying Paddy Pimblett's underrated for his entire career. Topuria is going to slump Paddy Pimblett. He's going to slump him bad. Topuria's boxing is too crisp. Paddy Pimblett's chin is too much in the air. And Paddy's going to get slumped. But imagine this. Imagine Topuria beats Paddy. Islam beats JDM and says, you know what? I want that Topuria fight now. That adds some legacy to my career. And Islam goes back down and fights Topuria, who now has one lightweight title defense. That is a mega fight right there. That would be absolutely amazing. And I hope that does happen. But until then, I'm excited for the future of lightweight. I'm excited to see what's next for Ilia Topuria. And man, to put Charles Oliveira cold out like that, is very, very impressive. I know Charles is only on a 1-fight win streak. He beat up old man Michael Chandler, C at the top Michael Chandler, grovel at the altar of Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, a.k.a. Dirty Mike. But, man, Charles Oliveira is still very, very good. And nobody's really done him like that at all. And Topuria went out there and did exactly what he said he would do. Slumped Charles Oliveira out cold, gets the win, becomes the new lightweight champion, and becomes one of the faces of the UFC. And I said this before. I said this in the other video. Ilia is who Conor thought he was. Conor got babied up the ranks and got easy matchups, and then had a couple good finishes. Fluke over Jose Aldo. Beat Eddie Alvarez, which was his best win. Lost to journeyman Nate Diaz. And never really did anything after that. He invented shoulder strikes, according to John Anik. Topuria actually fought tough opposition. Won the featherweight title against a GOAT featherweight. Brutally KO'd him. Defended his title against another GOAT of featherweight, Max Holloway. Slumped him. Moved up and fought a former champion in Charles Oliveira and slumped him. So, insane 3-fight KO streak from Ilia Topuria. I can't wait to see how his career plays out from here on out. He's still young. He's 28 years old. And I know he's talked about early retirement. I hope he doesn't retire anytime soon. That'll be devastating. But he's making a lot of money. He's making a lot of money, man. And his boxing is so damn good. His jiu-jitsu. He was primarily a grappler before he came in the UFC. He doesn't have any holes in his game. He busted Charles up with like a right hand right off the jump and cut open Charles Oliveira. I believe it was a right hand. I'm not 100% sure. Once they got it back up off the ground, Charles was bleeding everywhere. I didn't even mention that in here. So, Ilia Topuria gets it done, slumps out Charles Oliveira, is the new lightweight champion, going to be one of the guys that the media is really pushing heavily and the UFC is really pushing heavily. But let's be real, it's very rare. I'll end on this. It's very rare that there's a guy that gets the media behind him and the UFC behind him that actually really deserved it. Like, Pantoja deserves that. He doesn't get it, but he deserves it, okay? Ilia deserves it, man. Ilia's going to get preferential treatment to a certain extent, but he's earned everything he's received, okay? So it is actually nice seeing that for a change rather than like a Bo Nickel industry plant, Sean O'Malley industry plant. Sean O'Malley, remember when Sean O'Malley beat Marlon Vera and instead of calling out Merab, he was like, I want Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria would have fucked Sean O'Malley up in every aspect of MMA. He would have been stretchered out of the cage, but this time, instead of no serious injuries, he would have had serious injuries, and he would have probably had brain damage as well. So, great win from Ilia Topuria. Where does Charles go from here? I don't know. Apparently, the UFC isn't too keen on giving Armin a title fight. Maybe they booked that rematch. Joe Rogan was saying, I thought Charles won because he had submission attempts. Dumbest fucking thing I ever heard in my life. Armin won that fight clear as day. But would love to see that rematch. Wouldn't mind seeing like Oliveira versus Fiziev. Wouldn't mind seeing Oliveira versus Gaethje too. There could be a lot of fun options for Charles Oliveira in the future. He's getting over 35. He's taken a decent amount of damage in his career. He's older than 35 in MMA years just because he's been in the UFC since like 20. And man, Topuria put a beating on him tonight. But the one most impressive thing about Topuria tonight, he took no damage. Nothing really landed clean. Oliveira tried to make it dirty. He tried to find these shots that were going to, put Topuria in a bad spot. He wasn't able to really land anything. Topuria, super defensively responsible, landing good shots in return. Had Oliveira shitting his britches like they were going out of style. That's an exaggeration. But Oliveira was clearly trying to clinch, clearly trying to get in close because he was worried about the big power of Ilia Topuria. And that concern was a legitimate concern because he got put out cold in the first round. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.